Shalom. Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all of the praises and the glory to the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Bashmiel Shai Bashem Warakak Wadash, and double honors to the elder apostles of the great millstone, and including the elder bishops on down, and Yahweh Bashmiel Shai Brakathum, 244,000, and as well as even including the 1/3. So what I want to do is I want to get into this video, and I just want to address something. What I'm seeing with Vocab Alone, his body posture, the way that he looks. Usually Vocab Alone is, a mid-normal sized guy, and all of a sudden he's just big out of nowhere. And I mean, we've seen him big a couple of times, but not to this point where his face is fatter than normal. And the word which came to my mind, or the set of words which came to my mind, is that this guy is high on cortisol, which cortisol is a stress hormone, which we all have to regulate our blood. But had an excess, you're going to see those symptoms. Weight gain in the face, weight gain in the abdomen, puffy shoulders, and the likes. So evidently this guy is stressed out. And we know he's stressed out because of what he's hearing. He's been on our case for 12 years. And just to include, I know Vocab Alone isn't stupid. I know he's a sensible guy. So, to sensible people, when something is said sensibly and it has sound to it, right? To him, it makes sense. But see, here lies the problem. He has to deny what we're saying for the sake of his own sanity. Because it's like, well, and I'm just guessing at this point what I'm about to say next. If they're paying him to talk about us the way that he's talking about us, then in his mind, it's got to be something to this. All right. And let's just say that's not even the case. Let's just say he's not getting paid. And this is just his get up where he likes to talk about us, right? Because if what we're saying, if it's silly, just let it fly and move forward. That's the only thing that you can do as a man if you hear something that sounds silly, right? But he hasn't moved on. He's still talking about the Israelite thing, right? And or he could be talking about it just so he can get his channel afloat again. But I don't even think that's even the case. Someone that's dedicated their life to this thing for over 10 years, there has to be an agenda why he's been doing this and and this is just what I'm thinking. He's a sensible guy, like I said. So it makes sense to him that what we're saying has to be true. And in his mind, he's hoping that if he can stop what we're doing, as he's been spending most of his time trying to do, but it's failed miserably, as it is written, if this thing be of men, is what Gamaliel said to the Pharisees and the Sadducees, if what these men are doing be of men, it shall come to naught. But if it be of the Most High, you cannot overthrow it. So he hasn't been able to overthrow it. And what I want to include is the fact that this truth has been going forward, because I've been watching out Apostle Tahar's video. I forgot what video it was, but he mentioned Mama Bivens. And Mama Bivens, which of course, to have known the truth, he would have probably have known that as a young man usually. Now, I'm not saying all of the time, you bear witness to the truth as a young man. You know what I'm saying? You'll find people that come in this truth as older people, as middle age or even older than that. We've had a couple of examples of that in Great Millstone. But usually you come in this thing as a young man. So, I believe Abba Bivens, I don't really know too much about the man because for one, I wasn't back there with him. And the elder apostles, they have stories about this guy because of their elders that have taught them. I'm just a Johnny come lately, man. I don't know about that man like that. But what I do know is, not what I do know, but what I can guess is that he came in this thing as a young man, than he was before he died. So then that would then mean that this truth would have been going forth for almost pushing 100 years then, if that's the case. So with all of that being said, vocab alone can't just be some Johnny come lately to come in thinking that he can then shut this whole entire thing down. Just to include. Which I really didn't have to include that, because this is a thing that, even if this truth came about 2 years ago, hypothetically, if it's established by the Most High, then again, you can't overthrow it. All right? So he's fighting a losing battle. That's exactly what he's doing. And he's doing this because he, in the back of his mind, for one, he's bothered by what we're saying. It makes sense, but there's gotta be some loophole here. There's gotta be something that I can do to silence this music that he doesn't want to face. As the saying goes, face the music, right? And he wants to put it all to rest, so then that way he can rest. But no, the words of the Lord are going forth now, because we're approaching the end of this world. And guess what? The scriptures are going to come out against you. We're in a time of the Lord's judgment now, being told upon you. All right? Told to you, excuse me. So as this reads, miserable are they that afflicted thee, and rejoice at thy fall. Miserable are the cities which thy children served. Miserable is she that received thy sons. For as she rejoiced at thy ruins, and was glad of thy fall, so shall she be grieved for her own desolation. For I will take away the rejoicing of her great multitude, and her pride shall be turned into mourning. So they're going to be in a very miserable case to come. When they did all that they've done to us, they didn't think that one of these days there's going to have to be a consequence. But now the time has come that we're constantly reminding these devils that you are going to pay for the wrongs that you have done. And they don't want to face that. They want to play games and make mockery of what we're saying, which that's all right, because the scripture says that that's what they would do. In the last days, you're going to have scoffers walking after their own lust, because they're deceived. As the scripture says, for in the Most High there's power and knowledge, and to the deceived and the deceiver are his. I think that's in the book of Job, the 12th chapter somewhere, something like that. Right? So these niggas are deceived into doing what they're doing, and they can't help it. Okay? So he's hoping, like I said, he's hoping that he can put all of this to rest, and that we can all go right back to sleep again, and he can basically, not hear what we got to say in regards to the wrongs that he has done, and so that we're going to do unto him what he has done unto us, as we're showing him through the scriptures. Now, in this video here, Captain Tazariak, as the elder apostles mentioned, I mean, you could tell even in the video, he wasn't taking them seriously. He was just messing about with him. And vocab alone is just, again, very bothered, moving his head around. Again, you can see the cortisol all throughout his body, which shows he's under a great deal of stress. And he's stressing what he once upon a time mocked about. So I guess it ain't so funny after all, is it? Because a sensible man like vocab alone, he sees the sense in what we're saying. But he has to be in deniability, cognitive dissonance, isn't it? All right, man. So let me read this, man. Sirach 27 and 28. Mockery and reproach are from the proud, but vengeance as a lion shall lie in wait for them. As it is also written, every idle word that man shall speak shall give an account in the day of judgment. And also, as it is also written, whoso offended one of these little ones, it had been best that a millstone be around his neck, roughly paraphrasing that scripture, and that he drown in the depths of the sea. So eventually the judgment will come. And the judgment will be is that even where it concerns making fun of what we've been saying, which what we're saying involves the words of the Lord. You're basically making fun of the Lord. You don't want to do that. The scripture says it is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living power. And I think that's in the book of Hebrews chapter 10 and 35 or something like that. Right? So vocab alone is going to be in the world of hurt if he don't cut this shit out. But either and the whole, he's an Edomite anyway, so he's going to be in the world of hurt regardless. Ezekiel 25 verse 14, and here lies the vengeance. And I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel. Let's read up. Let's read this correctly. Therefore, from verse 13, therefore, thus saith the Lord power, I will also stretch out my hand upon Edom, and I will cut off man and beast from it, and I will make it desolate from Teman. And they of Dedan shall fall by the sword. And I will lay my vengeance upon Edom by the hand of my people Israel, and they shall do in Edom according to mine anger, according to my fury, and they shall know my vengeance, save the Lord power. So that means that this, again, the scripture that I just read also gives wing that we can do exactly what you have done unto us, and if not even make it even worse, the affliction even worse, because we're going to do it in the wrath of the Most High. All right, the way that we're going to mess you devils up, we're going to do it in the wrath of the Most High. So the Most High is going to be with it. So all of them Old Testament scriptures, which involves you being subdued, those prophecies will come into actualization. As it is also written, the counsel of the Lord, that shall stand. There be many devices in a man's heart, but in the counsel of the Lord, that shall stand. And that in the book of, I think it's in the book of Proverbs 30 or somewhere, where it mentions that there is no counsel against the Lord. There's only one counsel. There's only one purpose which will stand, and that is the purpose of the Lord. And this is something that Esau's trying to get away from. You ain't going to get away from the purposes of the Lord. All right. The Lord is an omnipotent power. He made you. He gave you knowledge. He gave you the senses to fulfill his will. Okay. So there's no escape from the Lord. The Lord created you to do what you did, just so later he can make an example out of you to show that there is judgment and that the Lord is to be feared. All right. And just to include as well, if there's any nation that's going to escape the judgment of the Lord, wouldn't it be his people first? That would make more sense. So what I'm basically saying is this, you know what I'm going to say. If we couldn't escape the judgment of the Lord and we're his favored people that he chose unto himself, why would the worst of the heathen be able to escape the judgment of the Lord? That's something to think about right there. But then I do understand. I do understand why they would want to think that could very well be the case. Because now it's reminding me of what Cain said in the book of Genesis, the 4th chapter, when he said that his punishment was greater than he can bear. And it mentions that a fugitive and a vagabond he would be. In other words, running away from the judgment that is unbearable to him. So this is very well clear. This shows you that Cain, the spirit of Cain is in Esau, man. Because what Esau is trying to do, his vocab is trying to do also. They're just trying to run away from judgment. They're hoping that somehow, some way, there's some doorway, there's some unknown doorway that they can go throughout to escape judgment. There's no doorway. There's no other way out. Like the old saying used to go, you can run, but you can't hide. There's no route or pathway to go hiding and seeking. What we're telling you is what's going to be. These are the words of the Lord. So that's all I have to say. All of you devils, man, y'all are going into captivity and we will do unto you as you've done unto us. Double. Let me not forget that. And with that, I close. Shalom.